Who is history's most unfortunate example of a scapegoat? The barbarians who destroyed Rome. The traditional historical view, one which remains alive and well today, is that Greco-Roman civilization was the forerunner and true ancestor to our modern Western civilization, and that the barbarians who destroyed such a civilization were supremely uncivilized and brutal beasts. Who else could gaze upon such glories of antiquity and tear them to the ground, ransack sacred churches and massacre civilians? Turns out the so-called barbarians have been given a bad rep for several reasons. Blame? First of all, the fall of Rome cannot be ascribed mostly to the barbarians, or even primarily to them. They did not tear down the classical world by barging into the great cities of antiquity and tearing down the statues and temples. No, the classical world was tearing itself down. The real issues behind Roman structural strength were mostly independent of foreign attacks, and the Romans brought on many of their own issues. Imperial mismanagement resulted in a drained imperial treasury and debased, inflated coinage. Frequent civil wars weakened the empire's military and squandered resources. Differences in culture, religion, and political interest started to pull parts of the empire apart, leading to natural rifts along sectional lines. In many ways, the Romans deserve greater blame for the fall of their empire than do the barbarians. Romans were very good at fighting Romans. Evil. The barbarians were not some harbingers of the apocalypse or anything like that. Most of that image has been crafted by pro-Roman historiography during the Enlightenment, and the guilt largely falls on the shoulders of Edward Gibbon, the first great modern historian of Rome. Although his works were revolutionary, they espoused some now outdated ideas about the Germanic peoples, namely that they were brutal, uncivilized, and somehow evil. Most Germanic peoples who came to the Roman frontiers came at first in peace. For centuries, Rome coexisted with these people on its frontiers with relatively few issues. Of course, they fought occasional wars. But in most times, the Germans and Romans were friendly trading partners. Plenty of Romans were in Germany, and many Germans lived in Roman cities. In economic terms, Germany was part of the broader Roman world. The Germans were not some outsiders. When they crossed the frontiers, they had already been economic and political partners with Rome for centuries.